Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. It's another chilly autumnal Sunday morning here in the south of England. And once again, the sun can't decide if it's going behind the clouds or not, and I can't be bothered to put my lights on. So if this video goes really dark, it's the weather's fault, not mine. So this week it's been another crazy stressful week at work, but I've also had a cold, which has been really annoying. I've now gotten rid of that, thankfully. And before you ask, yes, it was a cold, not COVID, because I had all the the various symptoms. To look at it, it was a cold, so I didn't have any concerns that I may have got COVID. Some people did ask me if it was COVID, and I'm like, no, it's not. Believe me. So yeah. What else have I been doing? I've been reading the book I've been reading this week, and I've also been listening to the audiobook of Troubled Blood. I found it really hard actually to break away from Troubled Blood, because I was listening to the audiobook all week. I still am. I'm about 50 chapters into the audiobook now. My sister has been reading Troubled Blood, and she finished yesterday, so we've been having like really kind of in-depth discussions about things, and we're so excited to do a video about that as soon as she's able to come see me and stay overnight. We are going to be doing loads of content for you guys, but until then, it'll have to wait. So it's been added to a long list of videos that we've got planned for you. And I've been reading. I'm so looking forward to my holiday. I'm off from work from the 2nd of October, and I go back on the 13th. And I haven't had any time, but apart from that one day last week for the Troubled Blood release, I haven't had any time off since mid-June. So I need the break, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great. But enough about that. Let's talk about the book I'm reading this week, which is Period by Emma Barnett. Now, this is a book I got in my Christmas haul from Amazon, my Christmas, post-Christmas, because it was Boxing Day sale, splurge. And I had originally picked it up at the Cheltenham Literature Festival and added it to my Amazon wish list. And the thing about Emma Barnett, I really like Emma Barnett. She's a really great journalist here in the UK. I believe she's taken over Newsnight as I believe it's Newsnight, because the host who's hosted it previously for like nearly 30 years is leaving the BBC. He's retiring. So and Emma's going to be taking over. I think she'll be fantastic, because she's a really honest, down-to-earth journalist who isn't afraid to ask questions, and she isn't afraid to say things that are outlandish. And a key moment of her kind of career, as it were, is written about in this book, where she announced on live TV that she was on her period, and the reaction was absolutely fantastic. The reason why this discussion was happening is because in Asia they have it written into their various contracts, their work contracts, that women are allowed to have time off outside of their kind of sick leave for if they are having trouble with their periods. They can either take the leave as leave, as a proper day, or they can work from home, be more flexible basically about their working pattern. And should that be implemented here in the UK? And all of her guests were rather taken aback, and it caused quite a reaction from people who menstruate, people who don't, and it started opening up a section of our society that we don't talk about, and that led Emma to write this book. So she goes over all different aspects of periods, symptoms, the way that we feel about it, mood swings, the way that politics view them, the education sector, how it feels for people who go through it and people who don't go through it, people from the trans community, and in that community, those who would like to have periods but can't, or those who no longer want to have periods but still do. And there's also people there's an extraordinary story from a woman called Jen, who Emma met when she was at university, and Jen told her how she discovered at the age of 18, just by kind of accident, as it were, that she has a medical condition which means that she has no uterus. Her fallopian tubes and ovaries were underdeveloped, and she only had 2/3 of her vagina. So basically, when she was, growing inside her mother's womb, her organs, her female sexual organs did start to grow and such, but then they stopped, and she did not know that. It just so happened that she had some pain, which she now knows was her eggs, her ovaries releasing an egg each month, just as periods they do. But because she had issues with the fallopian tubes and such, and she had no womb for it to do, so it was causing her crippling pain. And they did an ultrasound on her and an MRI scan, and that's how she discovered this. And she didn't really question that she hadn't had a period before, and she didn't talk to her mother about it because she didn't know how to approach her mother about it. So this book is really saying we need to be more open to talk about this, guys. From a personal point, I really love what Emma wrote about in this book. I'm going to be open here. I'm not going to talk graphically or anything, but I'm going to tell you something that people outside of like my inner circle don't know. Well, I suppose, okay, HR at my work and a couple of my managers at work know, and sometimes I need to talk about it. I need help with it or whatever. But other than that, no one knows until right now. So here we go. I have the condition endometriosis, which is the condition that Emma has, and she talks about it quite a bit in this book. Endometriosis basically means that you have tissue like womb lining, but instead of being in your womb, it's in your fallopian tubes and in your ovaries, and it causes extreme pain. And when I say extreme, I'm not talking lightly. There are days when I can cope with some painkillers and hot water bottles throughout the day. There are other days I cannot get out of bed. The pain is that intense. It takes on average 10 years to be diagnosed with this because of the symptoms. It is really quite hard to diagnose. It took me 2 years, and that's only because the first doctor who I went to mentioned endometriosis. I researched the heck out of it. I quizzed my mum about it, and I believe that my mum had endometriosis, which was undiagnosed. It's a hereditary condition, so therefore it matches. I was in my mid to late 20s when I started having the pains, and that's the key age for those who suffer from it to get symptoms of it. But some develop it significantly earlier. Even their first periods can be the endometriosis, intensity kind of pain, just as what Emma's was. And it took me 2 years to be diagnosed. I was pushed, I was prodded, I had to keep diaries, I had loads of scans. It took surgery, an exploratory surgery, to finally get diagnosed with endometriosis. That was probably about 7 years ago. Maybe 7 years ago I was having the pain, so probably about 5 years ago that I got the official diagnosis. And yeah, it was like, wow, okay, so I've got this thing. And when it came to the treatment side of it, it was, there were various options, and there was one particular option that the doctor and the nurse who was in the room with me at the same time kept trying to push me to take. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I do not want that. I had to say it about 4 or 5 times before they would admit defeat and go, right, clearly you're not going to do this. And so I have basically gone through, the way that I deal with it is painkillers when I need them. I only take them when I feel that I need to take them, and other than that, it's just like things like hot water bottles and having my mind focus on other things. So like I use things like Lego and reading and So, drawing, something like that, writing as a way of soothing my mind, my body, my soul, to just deal with it as best as I can. When I felt like I need to go to the doctor and say, right, at this period of time, I'm feeling I really need more help with this. I need something a lot more stronger than just Nurofen. Then I've gone to my doctor and we've talked about it, and I've had different, painkiller restriction. But that's the way that I deal with it. Different sufferers of endometriosis deal with it in different ways. But what is really particularly annoying is that it is so debilitating. People have tried to have the government kind of declare it as much as they can as a disability, because you cannot, your energy is just sapped from you. You're in pain all the time. My stomach goes absolutely haywire. I find it difficult sometimes to eat. My emotions and my hormones are all over the place, and it can be really, I would like to go through a period where I don't feel sick, or I don't have my stomach constantly going crazy, but that's not going to happen until I go through menopause, but it is what it is, and I just do what I can. But I've never, apart from like going on websites, like Endometriosis UK is a really great website. I might link it in the description below. Apart from reading accounts online, I've never had somebody speak about it in a way to me, if you see what I mean. And so to pick up this book of a woman who suffers from endometriosis, who's written this book like it's a friend talking to me, giving me advice and saying, look, this is what I've been through, was wonderful. And it makes me feel better about what I'm going through. Like, I'm not alone. Even though it says that 1 in 10 women suffer from this condition, most of them don't even know that they have it, because it is so hard to diagnose. So hard, so much that Emma took 21 years to be diagnosed with this condition. I am so lucky that it took 2 years, and the average is 10 years. It is crazy. But yeah, so that's my experience of that. So I'm going to stop talking about myself now. Let's get back to Emma. So as I said, picking up this book, it is so personal. Emma just pours off each word, every sentence of this book. She is absolutely wonderful. It's like talking to a friend. It really is. Sorry, it's a big plane going over my house. Go away, I'm trying to film a review. Anyway, her personality just pours off the page, and and she's just saying, hey, you're not alone, so let's talk about it. And she talks about her very first period, which is absolutely hysterical, but she also tells other people's story as well, such as a girl who had sex during her period, and the guy she was having sex with had no problem with it, but she realized that his bed sheets were like ruined because they were covered in her blood, so she quickly took them into her backpack, left, intending to wash them and bring them back, as she was so embarrassed, but got stopped at the London Tube for a random bag search by the police. They saw it, thought she'd been involved in a crime, and she had to then take them back to this guy's place, these 2 policemen, back to his place, and get him to tell them the story of what had happened that night. Else go to the police station to have a formal interview and have a record. Like, she was just, how mortifying. But the thing was that she actually considered going to the police station, but it's because of the taboo that goes around periods. And luckily she took the right choice. She took them back to this guy's place, and this guy was like, yeah, we had sex on her period, it's not a big deal. And really great of him to not be embarrassed by the whole situation and be totally on her side. It was wonderful. But there's some really crazy thoughts about periods and things that women can and can't do. Like there's one in, I think it's Madagascar, where they say that a menstruating woman is not allowed to touch mayonnaise because it will curdle it. Like, really? You know, why mayonnaise? It's one of the questions Emma asks. Of all possible things, why mayonnaise? It's just, oh, it's so funny. But there is a really serious, this book is so full of humour, but it's so full of seriousness at the same time. And I just want to read you a little bit. And it's from chapter 8, which is called Poor Blood. And it's talking about, the previous section had talked about how tampons and sanitary pads and such have, in the UK, were classed as a luxury item, which means that we as women had to pay an extra tax on top of the product in order to pay for these items. So the price is ridiculously high. It's classed as a luxury item because only women use them, is basically what the government said and what the EU said and such. And it's like, no, it's an essential item. And there was this massive fight to make it an essential item in 2016, which eventually was won. But Brexit now could change that. It's awkward. But this section talks about those who are on the below, poverty line and such, and how they have to deal with the situation. So here we go. That's right. Period poverty is right here on your doorstep, not just in India or Africa, but here in Britain. In 2017, Plan UK conducted an online study of 1,000 girls and young women aged between 14 and 21, which revealed the extent of period poverty in the UK. Some of the results, which I have included below, might and should shock you. 1. 1 in 10 girls are unable to afford sanitary wear. 2. 1 in 7 girls struggle to afford sanitary wear. 3. 1 in 7 girls have had to ask to borrow sanitary wear from a friend due to affordability issues. 4. 1 in 5 girls have changed to a less suitable sanitary wear due to affordability issues. And it doesn't stop there, because the study throws up further statistics that demonstrate the taboo and stigma surrounding periods and menstruation. 1. Half of girls aged between 14 and 21 in the UK are embarrassed by their periods. 2. 1 in 7 girls admitted that they didn't know what was happening when they started their period. 3. Only 1 in 5 girls feel comfortable to discuss their period with their teacher. 4. Almost 3/4 of girls admitted that they have felt embarrassed wearing sanitary products. 5. 1 in 10 have been asked not to talk about their periods in front of their mothers or fathers. Shocking, isn't it? And wait for it, half of girls have missed an entire day of school because of their period. It's an important and hugely troubling study, and yet most people don't know what the term period poverty even means. As we know, the word period isn't commonly used in day-to-day chit-chat, so the idea of attaching the word poverty to it just doesn't compute with most people. Put simply, it means not having enough money to buy the basic product to manage having a period. And it's certainly not a problem limited to the UK. A wealthy Western country, this should be much further along the road. Let's also remind ourselves of the menstrual plight and stigma faced by our sisters in our continent through the words of Meghan Markle on the 8th of March 2017, after she returned from a trip to Delhi and Mumbai with the charity World Vision to meet girls directly impacted by the stigmatization of menstrual health and to learn how it hinders girls' education. 113 million adolescent girls between the age of 12 and 14 in India alone are at risk of dropping out of school because of the stigma surrounding menstrual health. During my time in the field, many girls shared that they are feeling embarrassed to go to school during their periods, ill-equipped with rags instead of pads, unable to participate in sport, and without bathrooms available to care for themselves. They often opt to drop out of school entirely. Isn't that so sad and just heartbreaking, crazy. And she goes on to talk about how in the UK she spoke to girls who have used it because they cannot afford the sanitary pads and such, have done things such as use tissue paper, use socks, use newspaper to be able to allow them to still go to school on their periods and such, or they have to miss school entirely. Isn't that awful? So for whenever you see, I mean, the Tesco that's down the road from me always have on the customer services desk a massive white plastic box which people can who have purchased sanitary products and such can put their purchases into that box to be donated to schools with around the area for those who cannot afford sanitary pads and such, to be able to have access to them for free and still be able to go to school. And I also I would say, if you see them, please donate. I do myself, and I think it's something I'll do. I don't do on a regular basis. I do when I need to buy them, but maybe I'll do that more on a regular basis. But also this book, and it opened my eyes to the homeless community, that about 26% of people who are homeless in the UK are women who have no access to sanitary pads and such, and they or tampons, and what that means for them. So Emma also encourages people in this book to also donate sanitary related products to food banks, not just food, in order to make sure, and homeless shelters as well, of course, also to make sure that these products are available for everyone who possibly needs them. And that's something that I think I'm going to look into as well. Sorry, my nose has been really itchy at the moment. Still got that bit of cold. That right at the back, she has a period pride manifesto, and this is her list of things that she wants to happen now, and she implores all those who have read this book to do. So, no more lying about periods. If you have one and need to mention it, do, and without turning period pink. No more listening to period bullshit, religious or otherwise, banter included. Have the courage to call out said bullshit. Humour is always your friend during confrontations, but sometimes what you are dealing with isn't funny. Ask for anything you need to make your period easier at school and at work. Educate those around you in doing so. Be a good friend, colleague, boss to them by having to those having periods, those who are starting to talk about them as well. Donate tampons and pads wherever you can, supermarkets, school toilets, homeless shelters, food banks. Petition your MP for period products to be free to all, like loo roll. If you feel horny on your period, have sex without shame. Don't just give out oral sex because you feel that you owe some weird sex debt. Make and star in your own truthful period advert if you wish, and share it online. Observe your own cycle and note down the positives, if there are any, and particulars to make your life easier each month. Do your research and experiment with new period products like you would with recipes or sportswear. Go to the doctor if you don't feel right on your period or during sex or anything else gynecologically. And don't take no for an answer if you feel fobbed off. Push to see specialists and fight for solutions to improve your lot. Medicine should be your friend and your body shouldn't be ignored. And touch mayonnaise whilst menstruating. A lot of it. Much to the surprise of anyone else still believing bleeding women spoils mayo, most of Madagascar it seems, by the way, it won't curdle. I love it. I absolutely love it. And there are 150 different ways of referring to a period. And right at the back, she lists all 150 different ways that people refer to their periods. And I love it. I think it's absolutely crazy. A visit from Captain Bloodsnatch. The Devil's Waterfall. I just find some of these so funny. The Red Wedding a la Game of Thrones. Just it is so funny. And to finish a book that was mixed with humour, with seriousness, with touching, heartbreaking stories from all different people around the world, from all different communities, from all different backgrounds, and to finish it with such fun and such strength and such power, I think was brilliant. And it's made me feel a lot more comfortable about talking about my body and what I go through each month. And it's, you know, it's perfectly okay to say, look, I'm having a shit day because of XYZ. And it was startling how women, she mentioned about women were more likely to tell their bosses that they had that they had food poisoning or something like that, rather than say I was off ill because of my period. Stuff like this, we need to get it more talked about. We need to make it more of a norm and get rid of the taboo. And Emma, I think you did wonderfully with this book. So, would I read this again? Yes, definitely. I had so much fun reading it. It was a really, really great book. And Emma, I think you did so well, so well. So I hope you're proud of it, because I'm proud of you for writing it. Would I recommend Emma's would I recommend this book to anyone else? Yes, definitely. Anyone, everyone, regardless. She says in the introduction, this is for everyone. This is not just for those who have a period. This is to educate everyone, no matter if you have them or not, and talks about all different areas of society and such. So it's for everyone. Would I read any more of Emma's works? Definitely. I don't know if she has any other books. I haven't had a chance to look it up because I just finished this morning, but definitely I would read more of Emma's works. So that was my thought on period. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. You can leave me a comment in the comments box below, or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely up to you. I'll let you decide. And I'll be back with my thoughts on the next book, which I'm so excited about. It's Skag Boys by Irvine Welsh. I'm going back to Irvine Welsh. The prequel to Trainspotting, and I don't know anything other than that. So I'm sure it's going to be absolutely amazing, just as I love Trainspotting, as I adored Filth. Filth was extraordinary. But yeah, to go back to these characters like 10 years before Trainspotting, it's going to be great. So yeah, so I'll be back with my thoughts on Skag Boys as soon as I'm done. Bye!